you a real estate agent and dealing with a slow market?
And we look at the numbers, 71%. This is a number in real estate right now that was final number of 2024. We don't have the final number of 2025, but this is the final number of how many real estate agents did not close a single transaction in 2024. 2025, probably going to be very similar. So if you look at this market and wonder why it's so hard, why so many, maybe you should leave the industry, don't stop with that. The questions are really why. And it's not just there's a bad market cycle, and it's not but there is a little bit of the concern of the old models are dying and new models are emerging. So this is there. Why you want to talk about creative destruction?
Exactly. Therefore, by the way, we are not just seeing actually a bad market cycle. We are watching the complete revolution and collapse of the traditional brokerage real estate and their business model. And basically, we are living through this economy that called creative destruction. What is that?
Now, I love economics, right? So as you know, I love economics. So this is a concept created by Joseph Schumpeter back in the 1940s. It's basically that industrial mutations destroy the old structures and can create new ones. For instance, Blockbuster, Netflix. This is really what's happening in our industry right now. So the industry is having its own Blockbuster to Netflix moment. And this is called the Great Bifurcation. You want to talk about that a little bit more?
Exactly. Therefore, what has happened, the market actually is splitting in two. The middle is dying, and the agents that are being forced to choose between two surviving models, which is the ultra luxury boutique or the cloud-based platform that we were going to talk about.
And if you love economics like me, you're thinking about this, or you're just thinking about getting into this business, understand this split is not just something that's academic in nature. This is a lot of why those brick and mortar stores are just going down. It's because there's a difference between bankruptcy and building wealth. So that's what we're going to break down today, why the old school methods are collapsing, and to show you the new math and why the traditional is failing and why the money is moving into the cloud.
Exactly. Therefore, let's dive into it. To understand where we are going really, we have to look at this perfect storm that got us in here. And the last 2 years have not been just slow, but they have been actually very transformative. What we say why the transformative.
First, we have to talk about the realities, right? So we had the NAR commission settlement of 2024. This changed the game for everybody, forcing agents to talk about what the value is that agents do. So this is actually an amazing thing. And if you've been in some situations, this is actually great. But you also have economic pressures. You have interest rates, locked-in effects. People are saying, I'm going to stay in my house because I have such a low rate. Homeowners are sitting on 3% mortgages and they don't want to go into a 6% mortgages. So they're just not moving. So inventory is tight and overall transactions are down. But this is what happens when the transactions drop. The people who were not ready for it, they start going away.
Exactly. And what happens when transactions drop? The weak gets eaten. No?
I didn't want to say it.
And we are seeing massive consolidation.
Conciliation. Yeah.
Consolidation. Sorry, I couldn't even speak English. Look at the merger between the Compass and Anywhere Real Estate in 2025. They got to 340,000 agents over the night. That's $10 billion deal combining the two biggest players in the game. That when this giant have merged just to survive. That we were talking about all those that acquired by this Compass. And you know the landscape also has been shifted. And what did they call
this? Is basically an old school kill zone in a market. The traditional mid-sized brokerages they're alive, but they're starting to feel this pressure. Franchises that used to be in every strip mall, now they're not there because that model died. We don't go to the mall anymore. And those models are built on a different system. They're built on a large overhead. They are built on physical offices, utility bills, expensive models, expensive staff, receptionists, managers, a large-scale fixed cost, and there is a path to whether those agents have to sell houses or not, and they have to pay those no matter what.
Exactly. And what happened in the past, they covered these costs by taking huge chunk of your commission. But in low volume world, that mass is gonna break. Why? They cannot afford to offer you a better split because they also have to pay the rent and all of those overhead that we were talking about Therefore, they cannot afford to lose you either. Now, what's going to happen?
Now, basically, this is the death spiral for smaller markets. The market is splitting, and the poles are shifting in different directions. On the one end, you have the ones people talk about on TV, the $1 million listings, the selling sunset with the actual business plans, because they're high touch, low volume, because they're spending a lot of money on those really, really expensive places. And they're surviving these average price points is very high, but you don't need a lot of volume when you're talking about high price point. On the other side, which is where we fall into play.
Exactly.
The massive opportunity lies is in the cloud models.
Exactly. The companies like eXp Realty that we were part of it as a cloud-based realized years ago that if you get rid of that physical offices, you get rid of the biggest liability on the balance sheet that we were talking about. And when you remove that brick and mortar overhead, then you change economy for all the real estate agent. And let's actually look at the math, because where the overhead trap becomes real.
Now let's do some real math, okay? So let's just pretend you're a new agent. You just sold your first $500,000 home. The gross commission on that is, on our average, is going to be about $15,000. Again, this is just an example. At a traditional brokerage, with that $15,000, you're probably going to have a 70-30 split. It might be 50-50, but let's go with 70-30. You're going to keep $10,500. But wait, there's more. There's still fees. There's the franchise fees. So that's another $900 going to the corporate. Then you have your desk fees and your test fees. Let's call that another $400 a month. So by the time you get your actual paycheck from that closing of the sale, you're walking away about $9,200. They kept 61% of the money you earn. Now let's run it through eXp. You want to give me the difference?
Exactly. Therefore, let's say that the same $500,000 deal go through a cloud-based brokerage like eXp Realty, and the GCI or gross income,
you're still getting 15.
It still is $15,000, but the split is at this time is 80-20 for eXp.
For brand new.
For brand new. So you keep $12,000 right off the bat, and no franchise fee, no desk fee. You take home $12,000. That's really, how much is that really?
That's between the $9,200 and $12,000.
Exactly. Therefore,
that's 30%.
That's 30% really. That's 30%. It just raise your income just for one deal.
Now, if you're business minded and you're thinking, well, there's more to it than that. It's not just, it's how is the capital reinvested. Now, traditional brokerages, you're treating technology as a cost. They charge you extra for it. Cloud-based, we use tech as a competitive advantage. I love my AI classes that I take at the filming of this video. eXp doesn't spend millions on rent. They spend it on my education and the building tools to help you sell. And let's talk about the recent launches that we just learned about, like Mira.
Exactly. Therefore, they roll out the Mira in late 2025 in the last eXp Con that we had in October 2025. This is not just a chatbot. It's an AI-powered business co-pilot. You can literally talk to it. You can ask, how close am I to cap this year? By the way, the cap for real estate agent in eXp Realty is $16,000. And what is my, for example, what is my previous revenue share this month? And it gives you instant business intelligence. Then what is
Then
happening?
you have Live, which is another cool thing that I've been waiting for. Live is a global search platform that includes all of America. So this is in the global markets right now, and they're bringing it to the US as well. So they've started adding the US markets. So LYVVE is you get to search properties on all 50 states and in 30 countries. And it has built-in WhatsApp communication, so you can communicate with the agent in Portugal or Italy or wherever you're looking beyond America, so you can actually communicate instantly. And this kind of tech is simply unaffordable in other places because they can't build it when they're paying the electric bill for a specific office.
For the empty offices, exactly. And what it doesn't mean really all for you. If you're a new agent and you reinventing your business, you have to look at the failure rate, no?
Which is what I brought to you back at the beginning.
75% of the new agent actually quit within the first year, and 87% are gone within the first 5 years. Why? Because they run out of the money. What happens?
The traditional model is designed to extract the capital where you are most vulnerable. For instance, if you're worried about that 40% Zillow fees, who's paying that the most? Probably a new agent who doesn't have leads. So they're paying the desk fees because you've been told to sell. The cloud model means that you're giving away runway to your model. Lower fees mean you no longer have those to pay those to survive. Higher fees means you have higher splits, means you get to keep more money in your pocket. You get to reinvest into capital for marketing so you can get your own leads, which is an amazing thing, or whatever else you want to do to market. But the cloud build offers a wealth building that doesn't rely on your closing, and that's what I talk about. We're going to share an equity real quick.
Exactly. Therefore, in the traditional firm, you're basically just a salesperson. You eat what you kill. If you stop selling, you stop eating. And in the cloud-based that my wife was talking about, you are a shareholder. You can earn stocks in the company. You become a shareholder of the company. You can build a revenue share organization that pays you passive income from the production of the agent you attracted to the company. And in 2023 alone...
Before he jumps into that, I want to quickly say one of the reasons we're filming this video late is because my husband had to go to a meeting, because at the end of the meeting, if he goes to these meetings, there is a stock value award attached to him just showing up to a meeting. So of course he's going to show up to a meeting, because that is next year's savings account. That is more stacks for us. Now in 2023 alone, talk to me about the road.
EXP paid out of the $197 million in revenue share back to the real estate agent. That's a wealth. That's a stability. The industry is changing, and the great bifurcation isn't coming. It's already here, guys.
So as we see that the middle is collapsing under the weight of overhead, you do have choices. You can choose brands that are from 20 years ago with The Office, or and structurally unsound, or you can look at real estate like a business. You choose the model that's going to last long term, a model that offers higher income protection, advanced technology, actual ownership in the country, and tons of training. And if you're entering this industry with a business mindset, this makes the choice pretty simple. You didn't buy stock in Blockbuster when you were streaming on Netflix, and you don't build your real estate business on an old school brick and mortar when you realize that those bricks and mortar are falling apart. You need to understand that you're here to build wealth. You're not just selling houses. You're not just here for the kill, as my husband was talking about. You're here for your actual freedom and your growth. And that is one of the best things about EXP is we are business minded forward, and it's not just you're opening a door for someone to buy a home. So don't be part of that 71%. Be part of the future. I can't wait to talk to you.
And
success awaits beyond change. Book an appointment with